What is going on, everybody? The original Mako back with, you guessed it, some more Cult of the Lamb content. And before we get into the video today, be sure you check the links down below. As always, if you want to see me play this game live, we're about to start a crazy challenge next week, so check out that Twitch link down below. And maybe most importantly, as you can see on the screen right now, we have a few members on YouTube, and their extra support is really helping me right now. So check out that member link down below. There are 4 different tiers that have a bunch of cool perks, and it's pretty cool. So check it out. I would really appreciate it. It helps the channel out a lot. It helps me out a lot, and it would mean a lot. So special thanks to you guys who are already members. It means a lot to me. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's video, where we are going to be talking about the 5 best upgrades that you want to get, that you want to push towards, get to as soon as possible in the Divine Inspiration tree. Now, I know the title might make you think there's a couple of different skill trees throughout this game, but this is kind of the big main skill tree, and the other skill tree that has to do with like weapons and curses and stuff is a lot more straightforward than this one and has a lot less options. So this is the one that we are going to be talking about and going through today. Now, I want you guys to know something before we go into this. I have not made a list of the 5 best so far. I'm going to be looking through these in real time and kind of making my decisions as we go. Why am I doing this? Well, 2 reasons. One, I'm slightly drunk. I had a few drinks tonight, had a movie night. It is what it is. We're having a good time, having fun. Second of all, I think it's more real this way, okay? You know, I could make a list, go through each upgrade and be like, you know, these are the 5 best. I'm going to narrow them down. We're going to get through this video in 5-6 minutes. But no, that's not real. That's not as relatable as looking through a skill tree for the first time and being like, okay, this seems good, but what if this is better? But how about this? This is pretty good. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Kind of. I mean, I've unlocked almost every single skill, and the ones that I haven't unlocked, I have had a good chance to sit down and think about them and understand, you know, why I haven't unlocked them. So that being said, let's go ahead and go through our top 5. I do have some ideas, but I'm going to be kind of going through them as we explore here. So number 5, coming in the 5th place spot, I think I'm going to have to give it to... Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do this. I was debating. I wasn't quite sure. I think I'm going to have to give it to the Demonic Summoning Circle. Now, this is one that you can unlock fairly early. You don't need to get it to like tier 2 or tier 3 immediately. But getting tier 1 of the Demonic Summoning Circle can happen as soon as you get your cult to tier 2, which doesn't take super long. But you have to make sure you have the farm plot unlocked, and then you have to get the missionary first before you can unlock Demonic Summoning Circle. However, being able to take a demon with you into every single crusade is so useful. I mean, I can't even explain how much use I've gotten out of this Demonic Summoning Circle throughout my runs. And this is something that I personally unlocked super late because I didn't realize how good it was or how much potential there was. So this is a big one that I think could get overlooked a lot, but I genuinely think is a super important upgrade to get almost as quick as you can in this 2nd tier, because it outweighs a lot of the other things here and is just, like I said, extremely useful to have. So Demonic Summoning Circle is, I think, number 5 here. Being able to turn your followers into demons and help you out throughout the crusades is super useful. There's a lot of different types of demons. You can kind of pick and choose which one you want. The higher loyalty that you have your followers, the more buffs you get. I kind of talked about this in the beginner guide that I posted yesterday, but I want to highlight it again because it is super important, and I think one of the better upgrades in this entire tree is the whole line of Demonic Summoning Circles. So that's going to come in at number 5. Next up, we have number 4, which I'm going to kind of tag team number 4 here because they're kind of the same exact upgrade, just kind of slightly different, but that is the Stone Mine and the Lumberyard. So the Lumberyard obviously gives you, it's a passive way to generate more wood, and the Stone Mine is a passive way to generate more stone. Pretty straightforward, pretty obvious. However, I think it affected me the most throughout the mid-game. But throughout the mid-game, I found myself constantly needing more wood or needing more stone, with the stone mine and with the lumberyard, you can solve those problems pretty quick because once again, this is a tier 2 upgrade. So as soon as you unlock tier 2, assuming you have the farm plot unlocked, you have the ability to unlock the stone mine and the lumberyard. And in terms of like the cost, if we take a look here, they're not super expensive. So the lumberyard will run you 24 gold and 12 wood, whereas the stone mine will run you 24 gold and 8 stone. So you get these going, you get a good amount of resources out of it. Once again, this is passively generated. So while you're doing crusades, going, killing bosses, doing your thing, absolutely slinging meat in the crusades, you have your followers back at the cult giving you stone and wood passively. My recommendation is to start with 1 of each and eventually get to 2 of each. As you can see here, I have 2 lumberyards and 1 stone mill. I wish I had 2 of each, but the spacing doesn't really allow for it, so it is what it is. But regardless, I think those are 2 of the most important ones as well. I think those get the number 4 spot, slightly more important than the demonic summoning circle, because you can get through the game without ever having a demon come into the crusades with you. However, it is going to be much more time consuming and frustrating to try to get through the game without having a single stone mine or single lumberyard. Tier 2 takes a while to get there, but without having any of the tier 1s, it's going to be a lot of grinding, a lot of extra crusade runs to try to get those materials back. So that's why I have these at the number 4 slot. Next up, we have the numero 3 slot, which I think is going to have to go to our good friend, the houses, I mean like the sleeping bags, the shelter, and most specifically the grand shelter. So grand shelter does take a while to unlock. You have to get to cult tier 3, which is technically kind of the 4th cult upgrade. However, even the original shelter here, or the sleeping bags, obviously are super important, because if you don't have enough beds, then your followers lose faith in you. But the reason I'm putting this as number 3 is because of the grand shelter specifically. So this is the one we're really going to talk about. Why the grand shelter? Why is this such a big deal? Why is this such a nice upgrade? Well, in order to unlock more upgrades, you need more devotion. And the ways to get more devotion are by having followers pray at this statue, getting the sacrificial, the fire, which I believe is a different, the shrine flame helps you get more devotion. But maybe one of the best ways to help get extra devotion is by having these grand shelters. As you can see, all of these grand shelters have a little bit of a bar over the top. Now this bar is slightly filled. What is it filled with? You guessed it, devotion. So every time they sleep, when they wake up in the morning, the bar will fill a little bit more. And every time it gets filled a little bit more, you get to suck the devotion straight out of these houses. Now they only hold 10, but when you have this many and you're passively generating this much extra devotion, you're going to be able to get a lot of extra upgrades on this upgrade tree, on the skill tree, faster than you normally would be able to. So it's super useful, super important, and I think, once again, something you might want to take priority in, because if you do it too late, which is what I didn't upgrade to get the grand shelter for quite a while, then the devotion is much less important. But if you get it early enough and you start building them, then you'll be able to get a decent chunk of extra devotion. And once again, if we look at the grand shelter, it's not too cost intensive. You've got 3 2 gold bars and 2 wooden planks. So you obviously have to have a refinery before you do this, but it's not too bad in terms of how much it costs. So I think it's super important, and that's why I'm going to have it at number 3 on our list. Now number two might shock you a little bit. I don't know, maybe this is an L take, maybe it's a W take, who knows. Once again, we're kind of going with this on the fly, but this is my thoughts. Number 2 for me is going to be the Janitor Station. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, what in the fuck is this guy talking about? The Janitor Station? Are you serious? Out of all these upgrades, we've got the refinery, we've got the shrine flame, we've got the house. I already talked about the houses. We've got the prison, we've got the confession booth, the propaganda speakers, all this shit, and you're telling me the Janitor Station is number 2? Yes. Now, here's why. One of the biggest problems that I personally faced when I was running through the game for the first time was when I would go on crusades, like right as I start the crusade, a follower would get sick. And if a follower gets sick, then they're going to die pretty quick if you don't either get them to bed rest or get them to a med bay. And if you're on a crusade, you might not be able to do that very quickly. Now, one of the ways followers can get sick is if the sanitation around your cult is kind of lackluster or kind of subpar. If you get a janitor station, then followers can finally clean up after themselves, so you don't have to go patrolling the entire cult constantly to try to see if there's any vomit or shit around the cult. Instead of you having to clean it up, they can clean it up. And on this same kind of wavelength, we've got the outhouses that I think are also a big deal, which gives the followers somewhere to relieve themselves so they don't have to do it in the middle of the ground. However, this still does not cover vomit. So the janitor station, I think, is more important. It allows you to crusade more freely, not have to worry as much about followers getting sick. It's still going to happen. Some of the food you're going to make is still going to be, it's still going to get followers sick. So sometimes it's unavoidable, but with the janitor station, I noticed it was much easier to go on crusades comfortably without having to worry about going back, to worry about the followers getting sick, dying, and then losing faith, and then people dissenting, and just trying to maintain our steady stream of members in our cult. So the janitor station was a huge one for me and made life so much simpler. And once again, that's another one that doesn't take too long to get to. It's right after Cult 2 when you unlock the refinery. You can get that janitor station, assuming you have the shelter unlocked. So that was a big one for me, and that's why I'm going to put it at number 2 on our list. Now we get to the big boy, big bad Betty, number 1, top of the list. The thing you've all been waiting to hear is what is number 1. Now, if you watched my beginner guide that I posted yesterday, you might already know the answer because it absolutely has not changed from what we talked about yesterday, and that is the entirety of the farming tree. So the farm plot, the farming bundle, scarecrow, fertilizer silo, harvest totem, farmer station 2, compost, trap scarecrow's not as important. All of these things with the culminating upgrade, and the one that I think you want to try to get as soon as you possibly can, being farmer station 2. So let's go through the farm tree a little bit and kind of talk about each one. So the farm plot, I think, is the very first thing you should get. It allows you to grow seeds and turn them into crops. However, it's very, very tedious. You have to make the farm plot, build it, plant the seed, water the seed, collect the crop when it's grown, and do that for every single farm plot you have. Now, once you get the farming bundle, it makes it a little bit easier because you have a farmer station, which allows followers to water crops for you, which takes some of the tediousness. I don't think it's a word, but it takes some of the tediousness out of it to allow you to thrive a little bit more. And you also unlock a seed silo, which means you can put seeds in there and your followers will automatically plant them. So now you're planting and watering the seeds passively. It's happening while you're crusading, while you're giving not while you're giving sermons, but while you're doing other things. You don't have to worry about this. However, you still have to gather all of your crops, which is probably the most tedious part about it and part that takes the longest. So that's a big, getting the farming bundle originally is a big deal to take some of it out, but getting to Farmer Station 2 is possibly the biggest deal because farmers will be able to harvest your crops and deposit them into a chest for you to collect. So I'll give you a quick look at what that looks like. When you upgrade a farming station to tier 2, right below each farming station, as it just turns to daytime, you see a little bit of a chest that shows that's where all the crops will be once your followers harvest them for you. So unlocking Farmer Station 2 is such a big deal. It eliminates maybe the most tedious part of the entire game. And as you're working your way to Farmer Station 2, you can get something like the fertilizer silo to allow you to get more fertilizer. The compost, which allows you to get more fertilizer to put into the silos. And as you'll go on, you'll eventually meet, I believe once you beat Area 2 or maybe Area 3, you unlock this lady over here who will be able to sell you seeds for a relatively cheap price and allow you to maintain that farmland, which is the most important thing in terms of keeping your cult from starvation. Farming is absolutely the most important thing, and if you have a decent farm going while you're crusading, you can worry about other things as opposed to getting food. You can worry about getting other resources, worry about getting more followers. Whatever it is, you don't have to worry about going through those food nodes while you're crusading because you're already set. You're already good to go, and I think it is just the most important thing and what helped me the most throughout my first run. So that's it for today's video. Once again, we have a lot more coming out on different tips, the best weapons, best curses, some more tier lists that are going to be super fun, and a lot of exciting stuff for this game. The crazy challenge that I said I'm going to be doing, all of that is coming out very, very soon, so you're going to make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And once again, be sure to check that link down below. I would really appreciate it. It would mean a lot to me, and it helps out me a lot more than you guys know. So regardless, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for all the support as always. Hopefully you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I love each and every one of your faces, and I will catch you all in the next video.